Introduction of malware. Malware or malicious software is a software intentionally designed to harm, disrupt, or exploit system without user knowledge. Malware infiltrates via deception, such as fake downloads, infected emails, outdated software. It capable to steal password, financial data, and personal details, or it can spy on behavior and track keystroke and even deletes files, lose performance, or encrypts data. Attackers create different types of malware such as virus, worm, Trojan horse, ransomware, and spyware depends on their intentions. Each of these malware spreads on its own way, but with all the common intention, which is to cause harm to or gain unauthorized access, and its major global threat in today's digital world, which requiring robust cybersecurity measures to protect the data.
Okay, so the first type of malware is a virus. Computer virus is a malicious program that attaches itself to a legitimate file or application. It remains inactive until infected file is opened or executed by the user. When this happens, the virus becomes active and begins to replicate itself by infecting other files on the same system. Because viruses rely on user actions to spread, they often hide inside common file types, such as documents, executable files, or email attachment. The impact of a virus can be serious. It can corrupt or delete important files, modify system settings, and significantly slow down system performance. In some cases, viruses can cause system crashes or make the operating system unstable, resulting in data loss and reduced productivity. So the second type of malware is worms. Worms are self-replicating malware that can spread automatically without any user interaction. So unlike viruses, worms do not need to attach themselves to a host file. Instead, they exploit network vulnerabilities and security weaknesses to move from one device to another. Because worms spread rapidly across networks, they can infect large numbers of computers in a very short time. This can lead to network congestion, bandwidth exhaustion, and even complete network outages. Additionally, worms often act as delivery mechanism for other types of malware, such as backdoor or ransomware, making them especially dangerous in large organizations. So for the third type of malware is Trojan horses or Trojans, commonly known as Trojans. Trojans are malicious programs that disguise themselves as legitimate or attractive software. For example, a Trojan may appear as a free application, software update, game, or email attachment. And once the user installs or opens it, the Trojan executes its malicious function in the background. So unlike viruses and worms, Trojans do not self-replicate. Their main purpose is to create a backdoor that allows attackers to gain unauthorized access to the system. Through this access, attackers can steal sensitive information, monitor user inactivity, install additional malware, or take full control of infected device. Trojans are particularly dangerous because users often install them willingly, believing they are safe. So for the fourth type of malware in our slide is ransomware. Ransomware is one of the most destructive and financially damaging forms of malware. Once it infects a system, it encrypts files or locks the entire device, making the data inaccessible to the user. So the attacker then demands a ransom payment, usually in cryptocurrency, in exchange for a decryption key or system access. Ransomware commonly spreads through phishing emails, malicious attachment, compromised remote access services, or unpatched software vulnerabilities. The impact of ransomware can be devastating, especially for organizations and it can cause operational shutdowns, loss of revenue, damage to reputation, and permanent data loss if backups are unavailable or compromised. So many modern ransomware attacks also involve data theft, where attackers threaten to leak sensitive information if the ransom is not paid. For last but not least, the fifth type of malware is spyware. Spyware is designed to secretly monitor and collect information about users without their knowledge or consent. It can track browsing activity, record keystrokes, capture screen record, and steal sensitive data such as usernames, password, banking information, and personal details. Spyware often enters system through malicious download, software bundles, phishing websites, or exploited browser vulnerabilities. And because spyware operates silently in the background, it can remain undetected for long periods, and the consequences include identity theft, financial fraud, loss of privacy, and in the case of businesses, leakage of confidential or competitive information.
For this part of the assignment, I will discuss a real-world malware incident involving Church Healthcare, which is subsidiary of United Health Group. This cyber attack occurred in 2024 and is a significant example of how ransomware can severely impact critical national infrastructure. The type of malware involved in this incident was ransomware, specifically the attack ransomware group that kept a attack follow a double step of only encrypting the victim data. The attacker also stole the data first, and then they used the stolen data as leverage by threatening to publish it to publicly if the ransom was not paid. This significantly increased pressure on the victim because it involved both system downtime and sensitive data exposure. The attack vector in this case was a remote access compromise through a secret portal. The attacker gained initial access by using stolen login credentials, specifically a valid username and password. This credential allowed them to log into Change Healthcare's secret remote access gateway, which is normally used by employees to access internet systems from outside the office. The most critical issue here was that the compromised account did not have multi-factor authentication enabled. Because of this, the attacker were able to log in without any additional verification. Once inside the network, the attacker stayed undetected for over a week. During this time, they escalate privilege, move lateral across system, and eventually deploy ransomware across critical infrastructure. The impact of this ransomware attack was severe and widespread. On the national level, the attack disrupted the US healthcare system. Pharmacists were unable to process the insurance claim, forcing many patients to pay for medication out of pocket. Hospitals and clinics experienced major delay in claim submission and reimbursement, which created serious cash flow problems for healthcare providers. Financially, United Health Group reported extremely high loss. This included a confirm of $22 million US dollar ransom payment in Bitcoin, along with additional recovery and response costs. In addition, sensitive healthcare data was stolen, resulting in large-scale and data breach affecting millions of individuals. The organization directly affected by this attack was Change Healthcare, which operates under United Health Group. Change Healthcare plays a critical role in the US healthcare ecosystem. It processes medical insurance claims, manages pharmacy operations, and facilitates payment between healthcare provider, insurer, and patient. Because of its central position in healthcare transactions, an attack on Change Healthcare had a cascading effect across the entire healthcare system rather than affecting just one organization. The most critical vulnerability that allowed this attack was a lack of multi-factor authentication. MFA is a fundamental security control, especially for internet-facing systems such as remote access portal. In this case, the secret gateway did not enforce MFA for a privileged account. As a result, once the attacker obtained the password from a previous breach, they were able to access the system directly without any additional verification. The key lesson here is clear. MFA must be enforced on all external-facing systems without exception. It is one of the most effective defense against credential-based attacks.
The second vulnerability was excessive access privilege. The compromised account likely had more permission than required for its actual job role. This indicates a failure to follow the principle of least privilege, which states that users should only have access necessary to perform their tasks. Because of this excessive privilege, the attacker were able to move from the initial remote access point to critical systems such as claim processing server and data repositories. The lesson from this vulnerability is that access rights must be carefully controlled and regularly reviewed to prevent attackers from moving freely within the network. The third vulnerability was a possible lack of robust endpoint detection and response. The attacker remained inside the network for more than a week, which suggests that abnormal activities such as lateral movement, unusual login time, and large data transfer were not detected quickly. During this dwell time, the attacker managed to steal approximately 6 terabytes of sensitive data and prepare the ransomware deployment. This highlights the importance of continuous monitoring and real-time threat detection. Organizations must be capable to detect suspicious behavior within minutes or hours, not days.
Okay, now I will continue with malware response and mitigation plan. So the first one is prevention. Prevention is the first line of defense. So based on the analysis of the change healthcare breach, some strategies are critical. Like the first one is enforce multi-factor authentication (MFA). So the strategy is require MFA for all remote access point and administrative account. Why? Because this directly address the failure in the change healthcare. That's where the attacker use compromised credential to enter the network. And the second one is principle of least privilege or POLP. So the strategy is to restrict access user right to only what is strictly necessary. So user will only can do what necessary for their role. So why? Because it will prevent lateral movement. If an attacker compromise an account, so they cannot access critical core system or financial data because it is strict. So the next one is regular patch management. So how we can automate the patching for operating system, firmware, and application, especially remote access gateway, to close the security loopholes. And the last one is network segmentation. So how to do network segmentation? So we can divide the network into smaller isolated subnetwork or we say VLAN. Why? Because if malware infect one segment, it cannot spread itself to critical server because it was segmented. Oh, there's a way, but need more work. So the next one, B, is detection. Detection can reduce the time attacker spend inside the network before deploying ransomware. So the first one, we can apply endpoint detection and response EDR, where we install EDR agent on all server and workstation. So this tool use behavior analysis to spot suspicious or anomaly activities in the network. So the second one is security information and event management. So we can apply same system to aggregate logs from firewall, server, and application. So it will connect with data to identify anomalies such as user login from a foreign country at 3 a.m. or massive data transfer. So we can indicate there is data exfiltration. And the third one is we can apply intrusion detection system or IDS. So we can deploy network-based IDS to monitor traffic signature. In change healthcare case, an IDS could have flagged the 6 terabyte data exfiltration before the encryption phase begin. The next one is containment. What is containment? Containment is when the attack is confirmed, we immediately take action to stop the spread. So how to do it? The first one we can perform isolation, which is the kill switch. What it is? It is we can immediately disconnect infected device from the network, like unplug the Ethernet cable, disable Wi-Fi, VPN. So if the infection is widespread, cut the connection between the internal network and the internet to stop command and control communication, so the attacker cannot communicate with our system. And the second one is lock compromised account. So if we know that there's an account that compromised, we immediately reset password for all affected user to disable to enable the attacker to use the account. And the third one is segment quarantine. So what is segment quarantine? We use firewall to lock down the specific VLAN that infected. So this can prevent the malware from jumping to backup server or other departments. Next one is the eradication. So eradication is step to remove malware from infected system. And what we can do is the first one is root cause analysis, which we need to identify the exact entry point or patient zero. Like in our case study, in change healthcare scenario, this will involve identifying the Citrix portal vulnerability and patching it immediately. And the second one is reimaging system. We not just clean the ransomware infected server, but the safest way is to wipe drive completely and reinstall the operating system and software from a sanitized or verified image. And the third one is malware scanning. So we also could run comprehensive scan on all backups to ensure that malware was not backup with our legitimate data. It is because if we restore an infected backup, it will only trigger the attack all over again. Next one, E, is recovery. So recovery is a procedure for restoring affected system. And what we can do is the first we restore from immutable backups. How? Well, we retrieve data from offline or clean backups, which is backup that cannot be altered or deleted by ransomware. And the second one, we can also perform phase restoration, which is we not bring the system online all at once, but we bring the system online in prioritized order, which is the first is critical infrastructure like DNS, Active Directory, then we follow by business application like claim processing, and finally the user workstation. And after that, we also can perform post recovery monitoring, which is we keep the recovered system under surveillance for 48 to 72 hours or 2-3 days to ensure the attacker do not have a lingering backdoor. So the final one is F, communication. Why communication? Because effective communication preserves trust and meets legal obligation. So who we need to communicate with? So the first one is internal. Internal is like employees, our staff, worker. So we need to inform employees clearly about the status of operation, provide instruction, and we need to tell them what they can do and what they cannot do. Like do not log into certain department account until further notice. So the next one is external stakeholder communication. Who is external or stakeholder? This is customer or our partners. We need to be transparent about the situation disruption, but without revealing sensitive security details that attackers could use. Next one is regulatory. We need to comply with law such as Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, or HIPAA. Like in our case study in the US, breaches affecting 500 individuals must be reported to the Department of Health and Human Service (HHS). And the last one is law. Contact cybercrime unit, the police, the MCMC, or in the US is FBI or local cybersecurity agency to report the crime. They may assist in decryption or negotiation. So that's all for mitigation plan. Thank you.
In conclusion, malware is one of the most widespread and destructive risks in the digital era, impacting businesses of all sizes and in all industries. It can seriously impair operational continuity and jeopardize the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information system. The 2024 Change Healthcare ransomware outbreak served as a real-world cases study that highlights the negative effect of insufficient security procedures. In the end, enhancing technical controls, training people, keeping an eye out for unusual activity, and coordinating security procedures with changing threats environment are all necessary for efficient information security. Cybersecurity must be viewed as a continuous strategic investment required to protect sensitive data, preserve digital assets, and uphold stakeholders' trust.